What's going on, guys? Brandon from Boiler Trading. It is Tuesday, the 2nd of July. So let's talk a little bit about a market sentiment here and what we're looking at today. Take a look at the SPY intraday here, 3-day, 1 minute per usual on our scale. Had a pretty big resistance here at 295.60. That's what we used today. We watched the wedge kind of unfold, real poppy low volume days, kind of barely recover the 200 EMA, higher lows all the way using this nice little ceiling as a squeeze level there. We've seen that coming. We played it. Didn't quite get up to our prior floating candle up here for resistance. That was just about 296.30s. It only got about 296 and some change, so some of our floating resistance back there, we're just waiting for a pop into that level, kind of a rollover. You can see that gap right in here. We just obvious pre-day gaps there. Very simple stuff here, very basic. We're watching a roll down. We have puts up here from the opening price for a roll down and chase it down. Held through all these. We're targeting the 294.50 right now. I'll post it in chat. Speaking of which, we have our watch list handy right here. This is what we checked out for today. We're looking at Roku, Tesla, Netflix, Nvidia, Apple, SRPT, blah blah blah. All the good stuff there. Let's go check out some of these plays as I remember them. Some of the ones that I took today, just to cover a few, is the Roku dip in the morning here. We're looking for a little short ski action. Had a nice little chunk here, little pop to short, risk pre-market lows, so we got short into this consolidation, ran it all the way down, covered up a bunch, and then targeted the 88 recovery as a stop out. So stopped out there. Had a couple other trades on this one, gave some back later on, but of course trend change happened at the 200 SMA here, and then we took no more short trades on it. Had a pretty good trend as friend aha moment there, and she's been running up ever since. Decent on Roku. Tesla right from the watch here, we're looking for the daily gap hold. 226.50 was the bounce play. So we looked for a quick rip. I took a blind long right into the pull and support right here. So I took it long right at the bottom here. Yesterday's lows, pre-market lows, and the posted note that I just said 226.50 on is what that support buy was. So we got filled right here, grabbed a big spike up, first off covered, looked for the next higher low. A couple other members grabbed this one, but right into that support higher low off, targeting the top of the little gap right here. Really good. Really good play here that we had there on Tesla. I did not catch the end of this one, unfortunately. I was in Roku at that point, kind of bouncing back and forth between Roku and Tesla there. But overall, pretty good trade here. We had some awesome Netflix shorts today as well. Let's see here. We had a major resistance here today, 373.50. Now, this is the resistance that we had used yesterday when it was just bouncing the split. This was a major split from a big gap up here at 372, just about 30 there. So we waited for some confirmation of weakness under there to see if it would come down and bounce. A lot of people are asking about longs there. I said, no, probably a short. So we waited to see how well the bounce play was there, and ended up snapping out of this coil. A couple of lower highs, a couple of higher lows, and then ended up snapping. We had some really good continuation down, retraced all the way back up to that level that I had just posted in notes there. That was 20 minutes before market open. 372.30s, major split held Monday, doji on the daily. Play accordingly. And this was a nice little double top there. We had two different attempts there for a short, and then we had a good trend reversal change up here off a wedge break and recovered the split again off a higher low. So switch settlement, it was long, looking pretty decent there. Those are the only plays that I took, besides a couple other little scalps here and there. Nothing too amazing here. Amazon had a floating doji along with Facebook. I think a couple members here took the Facebook. We're looking at over-under level. Facebook was an over-under of 192.70, so if it opened and looked strong above 192.70 here, take it long. If it looked short, I was going to trace back down and hit those pre-market lows. Ended up taking it long, ended up taking the 194 split. One of our members caught it at the VWAP tag up here, right above 194, or right under rather, and just into that 194 consolidation. Had a little gap here that he's seen on the intraday chart, never to be ignored for support. He capitalized on a really good kill there, taking some profit, I hope, before that algo line of short reversal. Then later on in today, back under the 194 and back down. A lot of channeling, a lot of hard trading here. So unless these equities are hitting our prime levels here that we call here in the elites every morning, we're not really we're not going to be trading unless they're off major levels. Google was another one, had a floating doji. I was watching the 1103 all day today. Now, it was a little bit of a chop fest here, but The 1103 ended up being pre-market highs and then a big resistance line here, and then a fail of this algo line. The algo line comes from our 4-hour, very long outstanding frame, real light gray one you can barely see here, but all these perfect little wick reactions off of our algo reversal line. Scale that into our intraday, and we do have a perfect recipe for weakness under or strength over. Clearly a gap up over in strength, came back down. Take the 200 here, fell apart late day on low volume of that algo, and this is where that SPY was kind of waterfalling here late day and picking back up. Target was 1100 after that. We're watching how the 1100 is going to hold for the rest of the day here in Google. If this does look weak, we do have a couple different trade plans here rejecting that algo reversal line there on the daily, so we could set up for a roll here if SPY helps us. Amazon again had a flow doji. You can cover that one real quick, get a few members calling this one. Same play as last trade day here on Monday. Was the 1909, 1910. We didn't get anywhere down there. We were kind of stuck on this doji. These are the two doji levels we worked with today, watching that 1915 level. We used the 1950 as a bouncing ball short today, cracking that floor, targeting the 1909, 1910. We have a short algo reversal and then a major support. So we had a really decent short to the play all the way down there. Retrace right to pre-market lows again. It's been real cautious of the 200 EMA there. We called the last one here too for another 200 EMA rejection down to that 1909, and if it higher load from there, that was its chance for a trend reversal. And now it is squeezing back up here, getting into some of those doji levels, so I'm sure we'll have a bunch of chop here for the rest of the day on Amazon and just kind of wonk across those levels there. Beyond Meats is another one, a 150 hold. We did have a 150 hold call on this guy here. There's where our blue line support is. It snapped real early, so kind of took it off the watch list. Targeted the split then for the bounce. Our split was right at 147. Didn't quite get down there, took it off the watch, but it did have later on a couple different 150 scalps to the long side there. SRPT actually didn't hold our 156 till way later here. That was our first little attempt over it. So of course prior support becomes new resistance, so we could no longer look at 156 as support, as it could no longer hold through here in the early time, and it tried a reversal. All it ended up doing was double tap at pre-market level, which is always coded by our fantastic coder 7 of 9 here, coming in very clutch with those codes, and you could easily see where that rejection line would be. 156 didn't hold. You could have easily had a couple different confirmations here of weakness to the backside of those lower highs stacking up and then targeting some downside moves. So a few points and all that stuff. Relatively, a lot of our play calls here worked out quite well. Looking for that gap fill on Apple. I guess I didn't cover. I could peek at that one real quick. We're looking for the gap fill of 201.50. Didn't quite get it. We actually had a little bit of a big push up here, but 201.50, it only got to about 201.70. So those 201.50s were just pretty much squeezed up and over. It had to recover there for the list. I think I wrote down, let's see what I wrote down up here just to make sure. Looking to gap fill if 201.50s isn't recovered. So if 201.50s isn't recovered, it was going to be coming down here. So 201.50s was recovered right here, right at open, and we had some long plays off of that target. Early target was 202.40s. We were looking for a point there on that scalp. So a couple members took this one. I think 2 people took this one, I want to say, up in the upside here, but that was just a quick little, as long as 201.50 held, we had the end of pre-market recovered, squeezed right up to our target of 202.40 as an orange resistance line. A couple different little plays there, but they all worked out pretty decent today, but we'll have to see how the squeeze play ends up later on in the day here, and if we can get SPY to retrace for us. So that's what all we got today. So you guys bright and early in the morning.